Well, thank you to Boris Wisdom again. Thank you so much for coming. It's a beautiful day. And so today is our first day of the teaching. It's called the 37 Practices of Bodhisattvas. And I'll try my best to explain what I know. If I don't know, I can ask someone else. And then we can do discussion. It's always learning, not teaching. Teaching is learning. It's not really like that I'm kind of better than you or you're, no, we all have to learn from each other. Always, this is how we really develop. And we have printed out the copy of the text. And so I have one book which has like both the Tibetan and the English, but you don't need the Tibetan one. And, I don't know, maybe you want. Maybe in the future, someone wants to learn in Tibetan language, you're welcome to learn Tibetan too. I could help with a little bit about learning Tibetan language. So it's a little bit.
You open this again. It's a case ID because the
Oh.
phone is sending me a
I'm
message.
so sorry. It just go in 1, 2, oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's easy.
Very secure password.
It's good to get this kind of an easy, like a password. Otherwise, you'll get into trouble. And this few translations slightly different. There's some wording thing. Otherwise, the meaning is hi. Hello. Sorry. It's just some wordings, like a translation is slightly different, but I think the meaning is the same. So, I thought this is easier to, like make a better copy and put at the end, you get the 37 practice of the Bodhisattva, which has like 37 verses. And then I put the one page at the end, dedication. So we do start up, generating position like a motivation and do a little bit meditation and then go with the text. And at the end, we do the dedication. So that's why I put the dedication at the end. Okay. So I think we have made enough for a copy, 15 copies. If you need more, we can make a copy more. So maybe it's good to have the copy for your own, right? What do you think? Yes, so then you can read. I think yeah. Okay, I can do it. You can sit down. It's okay. Really? You're done? Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. 5 minutes.
You can share it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're going to. Oh, just enough. Just enough. You only want to come back. I can't. Start with our, creating or generating good motivation. And we'll do the, just breathing a few minutes, silent meditation, visualization. A little cold one. The refuge field, we call it a refuge field. And some of you maybe, like familiar, some of you not that familiar. Refuge field means, you're seeking some protection from holy beings or like enlightened beings, such as like Buddha, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. There are like a refuge field for those who can guide us, like the same as in the children. When they need refuge, they need parents, right? So similarly, we need some guidance, some protection from the enlightened being. And at the same time, there are two refuge. I think in the first day I explained what does it mean by refuge. Refuge means actually we're seeking some protection. When we are in danger, when we are in difficult situation, we need some help or some protection. And there are external protection External mean other than yourself. And those who can, help you when you're in difficulties, like when you're having some challenges or you're having some difficulties. So for that, when you need some, trustworthy enlightened being in person or past master, and in person right now, in person doesn't mean that the person who is really physically here. If our mind is close to those, enlightened being, we are actually with them in person. That's I really feel. Then I'm sure everybody, many people will feel like that way. So Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that we call Buddha and Bodhisattvas mean like Buddha is the, I would say like for certain people the best kind of protection, but that doesn't mean Buddha is the only, like a refuge for you or for me or for you. But the teaching of the Buddha is, I think, is the most reliable protection, which give you how to really transform your mind and the body and the speech into like more valuable way. They provide you to how to really transform your mind more, transform means taking, you have to make some transformation within yourself. But realizing what are the weaknesses of your mind and what are the good qualities of your mind, and how can you really expand, how can you really increase your value of your, like the positivity of your mind. So, that's, yeah, that's good. So just visualize that whatever good thing or enlightened being or those who are appear in the past and the present and those who will be appear on this earth in the future to save humanity. Save mean who you really guide toward the betterment rather than putting us into the danger or like just visualize all the enlightened being from the very authentic tradition that came in the past, present, and future in front of you. Just think that they are in front of you in person, and then you are actually surrounded by your parents, your families, your friends, and then that people from your community or your country, and then just think about all being from the universe surrounded. You are surrounded with them, and then the enlightened beings are in front of you to help us to clear our path, which is the clearer path. There are so many obstacles that we have, and then they're here to help us, to protect us, just same as the parents there to protect their child. Just similarly think of that, and then just silently look inwardly how our mind actually reacting this. And the visualization is there of both the like a refuge field and then the bodhicitta field, we call it. And the bodhicitta field means all sentient beings surrounded you is a bodhicitta field, and then the refuge field, the enlightened being in front of you, is the refuge field. And then we're here to do something good for ourselves and others, and that's the motivation. And then we will do like a 3 to 4 minutes silent meditation, focus on breath, and if possible try to sit like spine straight. And then the hand, usually there's a 7 like a Virajana body posture. If possible, do like this. If not, you can just sit whatever way is more comfortable to you. Don't make too tense. Then you will be able to like focus on the focal point of the meditation. So I usually do like this, but you can put your hand on your lap wherever you feel comfortable. Just relax as much as possible, and then focus on the breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and breathing in. Just try to not really think about other kind of hostile, bestial, some sort of disturbing that it may be happening. Just let it live as it is, but just focus your own mind, and the mind is just focus on the breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and then count. Maybe if you do like for 3 to 4 minutes, probably you could come up to like a 40 or 30. It should depend on how you breathe. When you breathe, breathe really naturally and very relaxedly, deep breath, okay? So yeah, we start to do that. So we will start the text, which is we have for the copy here, and um, usually I just like recite it. Yes.
Please talk a little louder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So everybody have a copy of the text? Everyone got it? Oh, you need, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll make a photocopy later, so now we will share. Okay. And so can you hear now? Better? I do have like kind of a, what do you call it, high voice? Better? Okay, thank you. Maybe you can use the microphone next time. I mean, I used to have like a really, what do you call it, like high voices, but sometimes, it's a happen to, speak a little softly. So anyway, so I need to make sure that everybody hear what I'm saying, whether it's helpful or not, doesn't much matter. What you need to do is just listen a little bit, and then we can discuss, okay? So usually when we do, starting this, I recited some verses, and I didn't print it out. We didn't print out the verses that we recited at the beginning. And today I'll just do, one verse or 1 to 2 verses in, 1 minute.
Geshema, does it start, I pay constant homage
Yeah, I think that
to
would
my
be.
3 doors?
Yeah, we will do this one, yeah, that's right, you don't necessarily have to like very strictly kind of stick with some one verses. This is already, everybody have the copy, right?
Mhm.
So we're here at the first verse, which is the taking refuge, which means like paying homage to the author of the text. Okay, so we'll just recite this together and do some reflection. And while we're reading it, try to get what he says. And then the what you call like a word flows, and then meaning sort of reflect a little bit, and then if possible, get some experience or some kind of senses inside. What does it mean? Okay, so homage to Lokeshwara. Lokeshwara means Avalokiteshvara is Buddha compassion. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Buddha compassion. Lokeshwara is another name of the Chenrezig in Tibetan language. It's Lokeshwara. So mean homage to Lokeshwara. You can say you think like that. I'm paying my respect, my homage to the Buddha of compassion. Could be the Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or your own basic goodnesses, or your own, like the, we all have the seed of compassion and wisdom, and you can invoke it, you can activate it, and you can, like expand it for infinity. So we all have that within ourselves, and by studying, reflecting, then a little bit meditation, contemplating, we can make beautiful ourselves. Each one of us can become like Buddha compassion. Buddha means like awakened person, or not necessarily human being, or awakened one. So homage to Lokeshwara. So the Buddha compassion is like a manifestation of all the goodnesses, all the compassionate, like enlightened being in human form. And today's world is honest, and the Dalai Lama is the Buddha compassion. So whatever he teach, whatever he do, whatever he says, all for others, to serve other beings, serve the humanities, not only human beings, animals, whatever living beings are there. So that's why he said in Buddha compassion. So it's motivated with compassion to serve humanity, to bring about peace and compassion and enlighten, like a knowledge that really serve yourself and others. So let's recite it together. Maybe out loud. It's good to like recite out loudly. I pay constant homage to my three doors, to my still teacher and protector Chenrezig, who while seeing all phenomena that coming and going, makes single-minded effort for the good of living beings.
Buddhas.
Yeah. Yeah, just reflect a little bit about this meaning, what he says. Okay, so this is, it is really important to pay respect to the author, because then that's how, you say we receive blessing. Blessing doesn't mean some sort of substance that you get and then you get something externally. Of course, there are external blessing and inner blessing. But we hear that, like a blessing really means those, like enlightened beings who appear on this earth, shown as a role model. And if we look at them and then adapt, get that, habituation, influence yourself. And when you are like starting to changing in transforming that way, that's actually receiving blessing.
Mm.
This is what, like, there are like levels of blessings there. So the main thing is, looking at those really enlightened, humble, humanity, down to the earth people who come and teach, and you also say like walk and the talk together. And then if you look at that, and then I wanted to do the same as him or her, and then like by repeatedly doing this, and then they, in certain time, if you spend some time for like maybe like a weeks or months or years, and then we can tell that there's some changes taking place within your mind. And then that's where, I think we are in the right track to, like receiving the blessing, which means we are working and walking with whatever this past master shown us. That's the receiving like a blessing things. Okay. So this is, it's good to pay homage, or, pay respect for those, who have came. And then before we are starting going down to the text, and I will just tell a little bit about the author of this text. And it's not in this text, but I, Google about, but there are, the biography, you could go like extend or very brief. It's important to, the author of the text. Is like in Tibetan language, his name is Tokmay Sangpo. When it is written on the top over here, it's a Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. Okay, so Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo was, it's like in the 12th, 13th centuries, masters or the practitioner who appear in Tibet. It looks like in the central Tibet. And he was known as Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. You could, if you Google this, it could also Tokmay Sangpo. Mulchu is actually the place, name of the place in Tibet where he was born, I think. And it says Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. It's like a 1297 to 1371. Actually, the year have slightly different versions are there, but he was a practitioner, scholars, bodhisattvas in human form, who appear in Tibet and in between 12th and 13th century. Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. Okay, and what does it mean? Gyalsay. You could see Tokmay Sangpo or Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. Why we add Gyalsay here? Gyalsay means Gyalwa mean in Tibetan. Gyalwa means Victoria. Se means son, the son of the Victoria ones, meaning either disciple of the Buddha or disciple of the awakened one, disciple of the, like a teacher, the reliable teacher. So you could translate that way. So it just added Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. So that's what his name, and he was born there's a place called Puljung, southwest of Sakya Monastery in Tibet. Interesting. In Tibetan Buddhism, you have like a Nyingma tradition, Sakya tradition, Kagyu tradition, and then Gelug tradition, which is, I think it's like a just a different time period, how this teaching, the Buddha's teaching, when they go to Tibet from 7th, 8th century, and it's like a flourish from the late 7th, early 8th century, until like a 14, I mean, it's still established in different parts of the world, in Tibet and all around the world. But those time, there's a critical time that where they start to translate many of this Buddha's teaching and his commentaries into Tibetan language. And he was actually just around the really the peak, they call it the glorious time of the Buddha's teaching, establishing or start to reach to the mountain, like what do you call it? The Himalayan mountain kingdom. I don't know, whatever they call it. The Himalayan mountain kingdom or Tibet or Himalaya, right? So, and then earlier time, there was known as a Nyingma tradition. It's the 8th century to, but the essence is all same. Why these different traditions came up, there are some translation and some interpretation differences are there, I think. And then there are certain technical things. How do you really, try to get the essence of the teaching? There are slightly different version, translation version. The essence is the same. Definitely the definition is the same. And but he was born in like a Sakya, mean actually, Sakya is the name of place again in central Tibet. And they adopted the name of for the place names for the religion. I mean the tradition. Interesting. And Satya, maybe you have heard? No. Okay, don't worry. He was born at a place named Puljung, Bulgung. Interesting. Okay. So you can listen later and write down where he was born. And if you happen to visit some days, you can just search where is this place. And sometimes it's good to know this thing, what you call it, the history or the biography of the past master. The biography of the past master actually become your practice sometimes. Because why we read their biography, we want to know, we are kind of inspired with their lives and their work. So because of that, their biography become our path, how to really follow them. This is why, southwest of Sakya Monastery in Tibet. And at 15 years of age, it's interesting, he was at the age of 15, he traveled to another place called Budong. There's another tradition called Budong. In Tibetan, we have Tibetan, or Buddhism is Buddhist. What do you call this? I think venerable children often call this. I like that actually. One teacher, many traditions. So one teacher, many traditions is really true. Like one teacher, the Buddha, and you have many traditions. There's no contradiction between. But we have to be smart enough to know there's no contradiction. I mean, superficially, you could find some different contradiction. Contradictions are good for debate, good for sharpening our mind. If you find some contradiction, then you ask the question, why is this that? And then, one time is not enough, two times is not enough. You can continuously search about this meaning, and then you will get some conviction. Oh, wow, this is what he meant. This is what he meant, like that way. Okay, and at the age of 15, he traveled to another place called, like a center called Budong Center, Dharma Center, where he devoted his time to actually study under the there's a great master called Sakya Kunga Gyaltsen. These names are quite important in a way. Kunga Gyaltsen is a great practitioner in Sakya tradition, and he went there to study with him for like numbers of years. And these are quite, in a way, it's good to know the, other, short biographies, things like that way. And let's see, Tumi Zampo was Kadamba master. And then there's a tradition called Chuo Kadamba, which come from, like it's focusing more, very much focused on the mind training. Have you heard that? Mind training. Mind training is how to train your mind. There's like a step. And he was one of them, like a great masters of mind training tradition, which is rooted to the Buddha and which passed from Buddha to the Nalanda masters in the Atisha, Master Atisha, the Master Atisha Dipam Grashirigan. And he was from West Bengal. In India, there's a place called Bengal, but probably now it's in Bangladesh, I guess, because those time, there were no kind of national sort of boundary. So it's just, huge one continent, I guess. So that's why he was the main person who actually brought this mind training tradition or the Kadamba tradition, Kadamba masters, the authentic Kadamba master. You have to stick with that. That's very important. Make sure that you are in the right track from authentic Kadamba tradition, which will go from His Holiness the Dalai Lama to Master Atisha, and there's like a Sakya, Nyingma, Kagyu, and then like to the Nalanda masters, and then back to the Buddha. That's very important to stick with that. Not really, other sort of thing. And what's that? So 13th century base set Muchumasi. And yeah, this Kadamba, mind training tradition, which is studied from there, and he actually served and was like abbot of one of the monasteries, Kadamba monastery in Tibet. And I think, yeah, what he had done is this is a very classical text, so-called classical text, which was composed by, Tokmay Sangpo. Can you pronounce that, Tokmay Sangpo? Tokmay Sangpo. Oh, Mulchu Tokmay Sangpo. Commonly, people just say Mulchu in Tibetan language, but for you, maybe it's many of you actually new, I guess. Yeah. So maybe let's say I will try to speak slowly, and then it's good to learn the word, because by learning the word, then you go to the meaning, right? If you don't know the word, then it's difficult to go to the meaning. Even the just name is very important. Maybe leave the Mulchu Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. Can you say? Maybe out loudly say. Can you hear? You can hear? Can you hear or not? Oh, okay. Say it. You make yourself as some kind of energetic. You say like loudly. Yeah, it's really true. Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
Good. Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
So the author name is Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo. You say one again? One time again? Practice it. Practice.
Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
Yes, Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo.
And when he was born and where he was born? Can you say?
It's not written in front of me.
Okay. He was born, I think it's already here,
End of the 13th century.
but at the heading, can you see the heading?
Yeah.
1295. Here you said,
1369.
yeah, 1295 CE to 1369. This is what this version says. There are a few different years out there, but just say like, when someone asks when he was born, when he appeared on this earth, where he appeared on this earth, you may just say like he was appear on this earth 12, between 12th and 13th century. Maybe just safe way to say 12 to 13th century, where he was born in East, in Tibet, southwest of the Sakya monastery in Tibet. Can you say that? Southwest of the Sakya
Monastery in Tibet.
Sakya is Sakya. Maybe good to get some kind of notebook next time and just write down these, because if that's how we learn word by word. He was born a place named Puljung, P-U-L-G-U-N. Puljung, southwest of a Sakya monastery in Tibet. Okay, so it's good to know where he was born, when he was born. He was born in Tibet, like a southwest, southwest central Tibet. I forget about Sakya because Sakya is the place name where he was born. Within the Sakya, there's another smaller place called Puljung. So if you want to know the old in detail, he was born at this Puljung in southwest, like a Sakya monastery in Tibet, which is in central Tibet. Okay.
Yeah.
Between 12th and 13th century.
That would be the 13th and 14th century. Bhante.
Yeah.
What was that?
That would be the 13th and 14th
13 and
century.
14, yeah, right. 13, 14. Yeah, 13, 14 sounds good.
Yeah.
But here, yeah, exactly. So like 1297, which go to like 13,
13,
14,
yeah.
exactly. So just go, and then where he studied, who was his teacher? There were many teachers. He has one main teacher, looks like the main teacher was Sakya Punga Gyaltsen. And then there's another teacher named Jhenrezig. There are many names are there, forget it. And then who was he? He was one of the mind training masters, Tibetan mind training master, then mind training teaching, which is rooted from the Buddha in India. How, like Mata teachers also the men, mind training, teaching in like how do you what do you call it? Who actually propagate, I think, propagate in Tibet, this mind training teaching, and so focusing very much on the moral discipline. In Buddhism, you have three pitakas, and the three higher training of the. I think I'll just go with the other things. I'm adding some other things. It's better to
We'll get there.
Sorry?
I said we'll get there.
We'll get
Yeah.
there. Exactly. So he wrote, this is what he wrote, the 37 practice of the, like mind training, classical training, like a text, and it's actually a summary of the guide to the Bodhisattva way of life. You know that guide to the Bodhisattva way of life, Master Chenrezig. It's actually a summary of this, Master Chenrezig's text too, and which is summary of the Buddha's teaching too, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that's about the author, I think. Good. And then we go to the text here. The first two verses, the first verses we just recited is actually paying homage, or you usually call it like praising. We often, when you go to the text, it say like you do pay homage to the object or the refuge field. And then the second verse is like promising to compose the text. It's classical text. This is how it comes. In the classical text, I have this really come. This it has 37 verses. The main text is 37 verses. The first two verses are, the first one is, like praising to the, we have the outline here. I didn't, yeah. It's good to have this, I think we should do the outline too, but anyway. The this text is divided in like 3 parts. Maybe good to do this. 3 parts. 3 parts mean introduction, and first an introduction, and then the middle is the main text, main one, and then the last one is conclusion. How come we have that? Yeah, I'll make the photocopy later. Sorry. Yesterday we make the photocopy of just the text. And you divide it, just maybe try to get the text is divided in 3. Okay, the text is divided into 3 parts. And what are the 3? The first is introduction. Second is the main text. And then the third is the conclusion. It's a normal thing, okay? Introduction, main text, main practice of the text, and then the conclusion. And then the introduction is the first two verses. The first two verses actually more like introduction and then promising to compose. And why he composed this text? Because there are so many teachings available already. Because the Buddha have given like so many teachings, and then he's like a disciple of the none of the master have written so many teachings already. Why he had to compose it? But because he has to compose it because he wants to just express his own experience. I hope they by learning these teachings, how he really experienced this bodhicitta, and have you heard bodhicitta and wisdom emptiness and interdependencies. So, if he share his experience, there are beings who have some, special kind of karmic connection with him, and that's how really benefit to him. And he was the lineage, in a way, is kind of lineage master who passed the teaching from one to the next. That's why he composed it. Because in there, Buddhist teaching, there are so many teachings available. Why we have to write too much books, right? And there are certain, beings who are really knowledgeable, not only just intellectually, but if they are really practicing what it is, and we can learn a lot from their experience. I mean, experience, we can't really share what I feel with you in a way, but there is a way that you can express through word, through body gesture, through showing an example, and then the experiential kind of sharing teachings are very profound and powerful, and it impact a lot. I think that's how you do it. That's why the Kadamba mind training teaching that the Bodhisattva Gyalsay Tokmay Sangpo taught for us. So that classical way that it says the introduction and then the main text and then the conclusion. So the first, the introduction is where you say, I pay constant homage through my three doors, which is praising to the starting the name. We have already did the starting the name, offering of praise. It says offering of praise, and praise, it's not really like praising to, if I praise to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the Buddha and Bodhisattva will be happy with you. No. If we praise to the Buddhas and Bodhisattva, of course the Buddhas and Bodhisattva will be pleased with you, but at the same time, they will rejoice our positivity. They will rejoice with our effort. They will be really, of course, they will be really happy with us. And then that way, the positivity or the virtues is another kind of word, is very much kind of a religious word, I think, but virtues or the positivities. So they will be happy, we will be happy. So if we are all happy, inspire with each other, and that's how we collectively multiply the goodnesses for others. So because of that, we praise to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, them as we very much practically, mothers and the daughters and the parents and the children, if we uplift each other, empower each other, so that we all feel really happy and relaxed, and then we can really, relate each other, needs and each other help and each other inspiration. So that's why we praise for the enlightened being. Not really, we are like lower and they are higher. Of course, we put them on our crown for us to grow and to become like them. That's why the praising, like offering the praise. And also when you do the persuasion, there are so many other kind of, like a practice available we have. And that's why we call this, the introduction part have like the offering the praise and then promising to compose the text. And the first verse is, I pay constant homage through my three doors. Constant homage means see here mind training. We have to like reminding ourselves, I should become like those enlightened beings constantly. And then you are so inspired with this, and that's why I pay constant homage through my three doors. So what are the three doors?
Body,
Can
speech,
you
and
guess?
mind.
Yes,
Body, speech, and mind.
exactly. So we say, I pay constant homage through my three doors. And there is just recite this terms, I pay homage, constant homage to my three doors, body, speech, and mind. How we do, if you like a gentle, soft talk, it's offering. And if our mind is like very relaxed and compassionate and loving and caring, we are offering our mind. And then in our body, just smile really genuinely with whoever, it doesn't matter whoever, whether you know the person or not, just treat each other when we meet people, whether you have met before or not, doesn't matter. They are a human being. And just welcome each other. Say, in Twitter, you say Tashidele, but here you can say hello and make sure, we have to be smart too. Sometimes, people get annoyed if you say Tashidele, but you have to check what the situation, the whole situation well, and then say, we made like a physical expression, hand gesture, facial expression, very all rooted from the mind, definitely. But then, just show very good smile for others. It's also, you are offering your body to the enlightened being, which, you're offering to the enlightened being. At the same time, you're offering yourself too, because we want to grow, right? So that's why I pay a constant homage through my three doors. And just remember that, what are the three doors and how can I really act, whatever situation is there. So sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes the emotion things overtake us. That's okay too. Don't worry. It happened for everybody. And then to my supreme teacher and protector, Chenrezig. To my supreme teacher and protector, Chenrezig. So, the Buddha's compassion, Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, whatever names you call, he or he can appear in different form. Without compassion can appear in different form. So at the present, now His Holiness the Dalai Lama appear as a simple Buddhist monk, right? So he's full of love, like a compassion person. And when you say my teacher, it's not really increase make stronger your ego. Instead of that, he is here to help me to minimize your egoistic mind and making yourself like more humble person, a more compassionate person. So that's why when you say my, it means like you make some kind of close connection to this enlightened being. So there's a really good word in here. And protector means, reliable person, reliable guide. So like an enlightened being, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Buddha, and many other enlightened beings from many, authentic traditions they come from, coming on this earth. Still, we have. They are also enlightened, very inspired, So, you can say there are protectors there. But when you say protector, not really you ourselves as useless. We have the potential. We have the potential to become like a protector for others. We have the potential to be like a good protector ourselves as well as others. So then you say protector, there's no kind of, probably there are some external protector out there, but main protector is your compassionate or warm heart. And then like a very vast knowledge about it's called interdependency. Have you heard that word? Interdependency, meaning that there are many different levels out there. My happiness depend on you or you, because when you look at the world, it's, the interdependence is work like a web. The web nets, what is the animals make the web, right? And similarly, like we have, and similarly, the nowadays technology or internet, and if you are able to use this tool for the right purpose, we are very much connected. And these are very good example for us. Oh, we are actually connected like the web nets, just connect each other. Just one smile makes a big difference. And, so interdependencies play really, really great role in many situations. So then you just think about, protector, when I need some help, you're there. And when you need some help, I should be there. This kind of, mind training should be always there. Are we doing okay with the time? Yes. So protector Chenrezig. In the Chenrezig, here it just give the Tibetan name, Tibetan word. Chenrezig means about the Shora or with compassion, but it has another meaning too. Chen means I. It's an honorific in Tibetan. Chen means I. Chenrezig. He's you could see there are like a kind of image with 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes. He or she can appear in like this kind of way. Why he's there? He need many eyes and arms to protect others. So there's a different aspects are there. So Chenrezig, Zigpa means seeing, seeing or acknowledging, looking means parents look after their children when they are not really, ready to stand themselves. Similar, he's there to looking us, taking care of us. Okay. While seeing all phenomena like coming and going, make single-mindedly effort for the goods of living beings. See, why Chenrezig, while seeing all phenomena. So now here, all phenomena mean whatever exists in this universe. It's just a term for phenomena. You can learn, different meaning. There are some different categories are there. Get different definitions are there. You can explore. Time allows. You can study more of these things. Like coming and going, meaning, things appear, then goes. This coming and going. It has technical meanings that it's like who, while seeing all phenomena, like coming and going. Like coming and going means conventionally. Have you heard this word? Conventional.
Conventional.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the conventional was the conventional. It has let's see, just say the conventionally. Conventional thing comes and goes, but ultimately, there's nothing that comes and goes. What does that mean? Apparently, things comes and goes, but if you check really carefully how this things appear to you, how this thing appear to you, and how they exist, there's some differences are there, some discrepancies are there. Because of our ignorance, or maybe we are not really seeing things as it is. We don't have enough kind of wisdom yet, but we do have the potential. So that's keep you to keep going, keep moving. So how things appear, we are daydreaming in a way sometimes. Have you heard that? I think we are daydreaming sometimes. I mean, most of the time, I guess, but I don't know. You never know who's enlightened person. You never really know, because when you say enlightenment, it's the mind should be enlightened, right? And like externally, you could appear in different things. That's how to study the interdependence and different levels. Interdependence is very important. But anyway, at the moment, right now, you just think about that. Things comes and goes conventionally, but in ultimate level, there's nothing that comes and goes, which means how it appear doesn't really matter as, how you perceive or how you take it. So that's why we are daydreaming. But that's why we are, keep going, cycling, constantly, somehow kind of suffering in a way, somehow uneasy things all the way, always happening. Because of that is always this trouble come. But the trouble is also good. It's a good lesson, to realize it. When Buddha said, when Buddha turned the first 20 of the way of Dharma, have you heard the Four Noble Truths? Yes, right? What are they?
Always
Suffering, cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering.
Okay, that's good. I say it's related. It's related. Everything is so much related. That's why the comes and goes. Things, everything is really related. What you say is also this, the Eightfold Noble Path. I think he was thinking about the Eightfold Noble Path, right? So the first 20 of the wheel of Dharma, where Buddha say, dunga, dunga papa, this is a suffering. And like there are 12 reputations. This is suffering. And this is the origin of suffering. And this is the cessation of suffering or free of suffering. And this is the path that lead to suffering, lead to the peace or the end of suffering. So then you have to just, wonderful truth, maybe say it. Truth of suffering,
Suffering.
truth of suffering, truth of origin of suffering, truth of cessation of suffering,
Truth of
and then truth the path that lead to suffering. So just make sure that you know this four. Can you ever say that? Okay.
Truth of.
Truth of the origin of suffering? No, truth of suffering.
truth of suffering.
Truth of suffering. The origin of suffering.
And
The cessation of suffering and the path that leads to the cessation.
okay, good. Maybe can you say?
The path of suffering, the origin of suffering,
Mhm.
the cessation of suffering, and the path towards the cessation of suffering.
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. Yeah, maybe just say like truth of suffering first,
Truth of suffering.
and then origin of suffering, truth of origin of the suffering,
Truth of origin
origin
of
of the
suffering.
suffering, and then truth of cessation of suffering.
Truth of cessation of suffering.
I'm sorry.
There's origin, cessation, and path.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Truth of suffering, origin of the truth of suffering, cessation of the truth of suffering, and then the path that lead to the cessation of the suffering or the peace. Good. So just try to just pick up this word and then, just learn to pick up the word and then think about what does it mean. And then when you say like a truth of suffering and how many different types of suffering, what does it mean by suffering? Because I think ordinary people like us, like me, like in nature it's a suffering, but we perceive it as a pleasure. That's why we are actually again, again we go to the repeatedly do this wrong thing and then continuously suffer. But
We expect a
But-
different result each time.
Yeah,
It's the same
but-
thing.
yeah, we do this different kind of repeating. Don't worry, all is okay. And when he said, while seeing all phenomena lack coming and going, make single-mindedly effort for the good of living beings. This is a, single-mindedly, this translation is pretty good actually. Single-mindedly means like his focus is only for the living beings rather than himself. Like wise, selfish person. There's a selfish and selflessness. Have you heard that? Self, self-cherishing and other cherishing. So the Bodhisattva, the Geshema Lhadron, is like cherishing others all the time. So that's why I think they can make single-minded effort for the good of living beings. He's there for the good of other beings rather than himself. Whatever, maybe we could read his biography later, but whenever time allows, and you can learn a lot. He's there to just do it. That's why this is actually the author paying homage to the Avalokiteshvara. So he himself, I think, is like Avalokiteshvara himself in just in different form, but he was offering the praise. He is there just for others rather than yourself. So that's why it's a worth to pay, what was that? Praise, offering praise. And then the second, the verse, verses, in Tibetan, in the classical thing, verses mean 4 lines. It's always 4 lines, and more like in poetry way. Sometimes the poetry, sometimes just, like a loose and sort of written. And we often say, when you say verses always like 4 lines, and mostly in the poetry way they write. And most of the classical texts in Indian master or the past in Tibetan master, in the root text, mostly come into the classical 4 verses line. 4 verses. Verses which has 4 lines. 4 lines all the time, and then the words have like interestingly, they start like 5 words, 7 words, 9, 11. This when you write the poetry thing, this is how they compose. This is how they write, and then this the I think it's more like a poetry way in a way. The poetry mean they use a lot of metaphor, example, and how do you really relate your own inner thing, what is going on within your mind, how is it really appear. And when they write these things, in the many of these the spiritual master who are writing in like verses in the past in the Himalaya, what they do, even not in the Himalaya, but in the ancient Nalanda, they go to like in jungle, forest, and the rivers and the mountains, and sometimes they end up like in very busy towns, and they just observe what is around, what is going on around. There are human, there are people, there are animals, there are, so many things, and they just try to understand, the Four Noble Truths we say like is, like truth of suffering. Okay, just checking around within yourself, and then whatever kind of realization come in their mind, and they just write down. And then have you heard like a Geshema Lhadron, a great saint of Tibet in I think 11th century? No. Anyway, this really, really poet. He was just wandering around. He doesn't have place where he stay. I mean, early life, different story than later life. He had a cave. He had like a pot. It's called nettle pot, and he eat nettles. Have you heard nettles?
No.
And he just boiled the nettle soup, and he turned green after some time. And his body. So inspiring. And and he was just, like what do you call it, wandering in different like towns and village and mountain and the rivers, and anything that appeared to him, and his realization was, you can't really compare anywhere, once, but he just write down whatever kind of experience that come and write down. So that's why it's very, I was saying why he, Ngulchen Sampo wrote this 37 verses. The summary of the Bodhisattva Shantideva, and which is also summary of the Buddha's teaching itself, of the whole Buddha's teaching. And yes, we need like a living kind of tradition that transmit from person to person. So that's what we need, right? Okay, so there. How are we doing? I think we are doing okay. I think, I should have tell that. It's okay if we go like at 10:30? 10 to 9, sorry, 10 to 11:30? It's okay? Everybody's okay with the time? I mean, we have to make sure that, people are busy.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that the time is 10 to 11:30 is okay with you? Everybody's okay?
Yeah.
Just make sure that if somebody have to go, if someone have like an appointment at like, let's say 11:30, you may have to leave earlier, right? So we make sure that in the practical thing. In India nowadays, still, the time is important, but I heard like in the US, people are really busy, only the US, and I don't know whether it's worth being busy or not, but of course they are. we have to make sure that, make sure that everyone is okay with the time. So if it is okay, go up to like 11:30, so we can, we have, good. We will go to the next verse, okay? First verse is, did you get some meaning what he says? Okay, pay homage, and why we are paying homage. And this, just try to remember the 3 doors and this and that, okay? And then why he's prim and not me. Yes, I am, because full of, some ugliness inside. So I need to read all this. And then identify these things, okay? And then okay, go to the second verse, which is we call it promising to compose the text. It's a technical thing. It's good to learn these things. The promising. You call like great beings, like noble beings, do not make promise easily. Do you get it? Do you get what it means?
No.
See? You don't get it? No. Meanings, people who are like who think like who are far kind of vision, those whose mind is like what do you call it, the long term and the short term needs, who sees the long term needs, the short term needs, and what is more kind of beneficial for short term and long term. They check which will be the most important. And then they make the promise. Promise means they commit to do this. They don't make easily the commitment. If they make the commitment, then they never give up. Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay, so why you say that the classical or the text, why he or he's making promising to compose this this text? Why? Because he has the vision, he has the compassionate, really motivated with the compassion to benefit others by sharing his own experience, his own teaching, what he got from his teacher or the the lineage master that goes from all the way up to the Buddha. And I think if I share what I feel, what I have realized, maybe it will be helpful. Not only maybe, but there are some beings who have special kind of connection with him or her. Okay, do you get it? Are you getting it or not? Why you have to make the commitment or the promise to compose this text? It's really important. The noble being mean like a far-seeing, far-reaching thing, or I don't know what word would be. Those who they do not make easily promise, meaning they're more reliable, stable, and they see the whole angles of the writing this text. It's really short text, but it's very practical advice that give. And he promised, if he or she promised to compose this text, then he'll never give up until the works are done, until the work is completed. So that's why it's a it's a very simple thing that if there's something that I can't really fulfill what it is, then it's better not really make the promise. And he see that I can complete my task. I can write this text to benefit many future beings. See, he have written this actually in like a 13th, 14th century, but then it's still so much lively teaching. It's still like very transmitted from like a generation to generation. It's a benefit. So he sees the future really clearly, that it will really benefit for the future. And because of that, he made the promise, I'm going to write it and I will never give up until I have done my work. So it will, you could use as a kind of good model for us. Okay, you have to just make sure that I make any promise or commitment. If I make the commitment or promise, then I will fulfill it. I will complete it. Not living like in the middle, and then not sure where should we go. Just leave it somewhere and then run away. And that's not good promise, right? Sort of thing. That's why it's the second verse, which is promise to compose this text. Okay, read it. I think we will read it. It's good to read. Perfect Buddhas. Source of all well-being and happiness, arises from cultivating the excellent teachings, and this depends on knowing the practices. So I will explain the practices of Bodhisattva. So this is, the author promising that I'm going to write it. Perfect Buddhas, source of all beings and happiness, well-being and happiness. Sorry. Perfect Buddha, source of all well-beings and happiness. So why say perfect Buddha? Buddha is a perfect prophet, means like the Buddha is actually endowed with the perfect knowledge, perfect qualities. Qualities mostly like inner qualities, the mind, and then you say that the mind is, like
No.
Okay, sorry. Perfect Buddha is where you say source of all well-beings and happiness. So well-beings, you could have the well-beings of short-term well-beings and long-term well-being. And it's very much in different situation where you want the well-beings. But main thing is mental well-being. Have you heard that? Mind, because this is mind training, right? So well-being of the health, physical health, and the well-being of mind. You get it? So well-being of mind and the well-being of physical health. And then out of these two, which one will be most important, you think? Mind. Mind? So Monica, I think mind well-being is very important, right? How about, I'm really bad about remembering people's names, but
Hard to
that's
say, because they work together.
Exactly, exactly.
Without the body. Yeah. How much the mind, right?
Yeah, they work together, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's still out of the physical well-being and mental well-being,
I would agree with mind.
you would say mind. What about you?
The mind.
Mind, good. How about you?
I lean towards mine, but I believe one feeds the other. Feed one and the other will follow.
Right, right. Doesn't matter. Yes, that's true.
I just feel like it's hard to have a healthy body with a sick mind.
Right. So can you explain why the mental well-being is so more important than physical well-being?
I don't know, like I said, I just find it would be hard to have a healthy body if you have a disturbed mind at the same time, because again, they're connected, so I don't really know why I think that, but.
The mind is the only thing that persists beyond this life.
And
So that's the long term, what you have to look for in the long term. The body's going to fail.
Why are they going to fail? Why? How? I mean, I'm
Because
sorry.
Our physical bodies are all gonna age, die, yeah.
Impermanence.
What was that?
Impermanence.
Impermanent. Okay, body is impermanent. Mind is not impermanent?
It is impermanent, but it will persist through samsara, where this body will not.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we have to find our own answer, then try to get our answer. It won't be easy to find the answer right away, but we have to try to always ask, out of this mental well-being and the physical well-being, mental well-being is more important than the physical well-being. And then if you can make some kind of experiment within yourself, what you're saying is that, toward to the mind, but difficult. It's really true. Sometimes you have to make the differentiation between the brain and the mind. Sorry. That's the big question there. If
The
the
brain
brain
would be
is
physical.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Brain is physical, but it's someone who is, how about if someone like a purely neuroscientist, modern neuroscientist? I don't know whether we say pure, if we have pure neuroscientists without relating anything of the, like a mind concept. I'm not sure whether we have exist or not. I'm not sure. Maybe, you never know. But right now, you must have heard about His Holiness the Dalai Lama is having a lot of interaction and dialogue and conversation between scientists and neuroscientists, and physicists, and the philosopher, or the, like a philosopher, I guess, or, spiritual beings, or those who are kind of pursuing, those who have kind of inspired with the spiritual tradition, including Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist psychology. They're having a lot of conversation. Whenever they are having this conversation, they're really constructive conversations are on the table. No matter whether that's, purely scientists or not. The word again, the purely, what do you mean by purely? Is that everything is connected. And then how can you really make your own position? His Holiness often say, okay, in this situation, I think I should put my scientist hat. And then in this situation, maybe I should put my Buddhist hat or something like that. And then also similar, there are world-renowned scientists, neuroscientists, physicists coming from the US, Europe, or Asia, and they are presenting and they are writing and leading workshop, meditation, conversation, and benefits for human beings, because, we need to have the both, the, scientific, like explanation about the mind and the brain, and then there also the traditional explanation of the mind and the brain. So yeah, it's good to keep it open. And then, if you put like a collective sort of effort, we can make some differences for the world. I think we can contribute something really good for that. Okay, what was that? Oh, yeah. This question came up about the why the mind is important than the mind, body. And then body, the hands, legs, these are, I think, not really much important thing, but I think it's about the nervous system and the brain or the heart. I think there's different, the body also have like a gross body, subtle body. There's so much that we can learn. What is the gross one and what is the subtle one? And then, the thing that we see, there are really gross. And then if we check in the like, go into the like, like levels, like quantum level, atomic level, and then, like all this DNA molecule, I don't know what all this is. There's a big show there. It's really puzzle things out there. And then, try to, Buddhist texts are also very much explain these things a lot in details. And the modern scientists are also really engaging in that. So it's good. We should go, like a side by side, not really rejecting.
It does seem like science is starting to,
What was that?
actually, it does seem like science is coming around going,
Right,
wow, like,
yeah. I mean, the
Buddhists
modern
explained
science.
this 1,000 years ago and we're
Exactly.
just figuring it out now. Like, where'd that come from,
Right. But
Yeah.
the thing is about
Like
the
physics and stuff.
physics, yeah, physics. Physics have like a different kind of a type, different, classifications are there. Quantum physics, it's actually established in Asia or India more than 2,005 years ago. And, Arya Nagarjuna, have you heard Arya Nagarjuna? I mean, the Nalanda masters, he was like a physicist or doctors, neuroscientists. But how do you realize that, he was like a great scientist or physicist? By reading his text, by studying his, work, we will be able to realize these things. But then that's why we have to open the door. keep it open the door. Okay, well, I think we have only 10 minutes left, and I think let's just consider that the first two verses, like, offering the praise and then the promising to compose the text more or less finish. And then we will read through if you have a lot of time. And if you have time over that week, and maybe we could get some commentary. I haven't seen the commentary yet, and just the read text. But for the time being, good to get just some verses, because it's just a whole summary of the Buddha's teaching. When you say Buddha's teaching, we have like 80,000, no, like 100,000 volumes, verses like that. But you could summarize in 2-3 verses. Well, sometimes even you just summarize in 1 or 2 lines. That's also another way. So that's why, gaining knowledge is very important, and, learn from one by one, then what do you call it? Like expand the knowledge furthermore. So we have only 5 minutes or 7 minutes. And if 1 or 2 questions anybody have, you're welcome to ask me. And if not, we will do the dedication. Any question related with this or any other question? Because I'm here, I mean, this is my 4th time to visiting the US, but I didn't learn much about culture, way of living. I learned a little bit, not much, but you can ask anything about life in India, life in Somalia, or traditional, things, or related with the text, but your own personal, not really personal, but like individual sort of whatever. Yeah.
How do you know that the Dalai Lama is enlightened?
How do you know? That's very good question. Wonderful. That's really good question. How do I know that the Dalai Lama is enlightened? Okay, you have to think about very carefully. In order to be able to see that the Dalai Lama is an enlightened being, I have a conviction or inspiration by seeing his work, by listening his teaching, by reading his biography, not only this lifetime, he is the 14th one in series. The concept of rebirth is another whole, different, area we need to learn in a way. So, how do you know when no means no realizing, no means realize, right? Whether I really realize him as enlightened being or not, whatever I see here, what he says, what he does, completely to benefit for others. And he is a reliable person. He is there. He's like he's his embodiment of compassion. That's just what I feel.
Mm.
And then do you really know that or not? Be honest. Honestly, I said, I don't know exactly, but I have strong, not only blind belief, but how much it's really helped you, how much really he helped for many beings. And then what else? Who else could be enlightened other than him? I could just do some inferences.
Yeah.
Even though I do not relate directly that I know he is enlightened being, that does, he is enlightened being. There are just some belief as well as some evidence or some support, supported by logic and reason. You get it?
Yes. Conviction,
Conviction,
inference and conviction.
Inference and conviction and
Yeah.
inspiration. So it's many other factors that really supported my belief. For example, it's just it's good to ask your own question too. It doesn't mean like you're judging, sometimes the thing is, higher realized person, our understanding is very limited, right? So we always have to be ready that I don't know much, but I'm inspired with his teaching. I'm really inspired. He's a really good role model for many beings, and including me. And then we have the limitation, and the limitation doesn't mean that stay forever limited. You can expand it furthermore. So yeah, I would say that, by judging his work, by judging his teaching, by judging his, how he really set as a model for the rest of the world. So then he is enlightened being. Enlightened being means, yeah. I think that's my
Very
kind
good.
of answer. Yeah, and you have anything? No, just
time.
relax.
Yeah.
All we need to do is we have to be really relaxed and very natural way. The growth, like a development transformation should take a very natural and like a natural way and then gradually. Yeah. Okay. So anyone else? Any other question? Oh, okay.
The second to the last page, is that number 37? Or is that continuation of 36?
Second one?
The second to the last page.
37, you
There's
noticed that.
37.
No, 30. Cliffhanger.
Second to the 37. Oh yeah. Second to the 37.
No,
Yeah.
it's only 36 numbers.
36, and then the following page.
Yeah. Man. So it goes to 36 here, but on our pages, we don't have a 37. Oh, okay. Let me see.
You got the secret document.
Oh.
We just missed.
So I think we may be missing this start
Oh,
here.
Okay, I see.
Oh, so we're only missing one line.
I
so
see.
37.
Well, yesterday I did this
Yes.
copy last night and something went wrong.
Yeah,
there.
it just, this number 37, the first line of 37 got cut off and didn't come onto
I'm
the
sorry, I
second
think
page.
it's a make a mistake on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the text is here, it's just that very first line
This
that,
one is 37, correct?
yes, there's just one top line
Okay.
missing from it, and it's a very,
I
just
it's a
wanted
very
that
beautiful line, I have
Oh.
to say.
Okay.
Gonna be like
Do you
that.
do
You
you
have
have
to
a
come back.
pen? You have a pen, you can copy this, yeah, I think it's.
No, I thought it was 37, but I just wanted you to clarify.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's just a
Practical
couple of
question.
words. I can read it if
Yeah,
anybody has
can you
any.
just read it?
And, yeah,
May I?
please, please, please.
Can you start?
And I'm not gonna cry.
No, no.
Can you read 36 and then 37?
Yes,
36
go.
and 37.
I don't know if I will hold my composure while I'm reading, but I will
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely try.
Yeah,
Go sure if
please,
this is
please,
okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sure, sure. Go on.
Okay. In brief, whatever you are doing, ask yourself, what's the state of mind? With constant mindful and mental alertness, accomplish others' good. This is the practice, I'm gonna pronounce it wrong,
Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva.
And then we go to 37, which again,
One line is missing, sorry.
yeah, the one line is to remove the suffering of limitless beings. And I just got chills.
Exactly. So maybe, can you just write down, or if you have pen, write down that, and then making another whole, kind of.
Yes.
Remove the suffering of
Thank you,
limitless
thank you,
beings.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mantra anyway.
I think it's a nice, thank you for coming back.
So that one line, she just read.
Yeah, to remove the suffering of limitless beings, which is right there. I think we make a whole mistake about it.
Can I borrow someone just misses the one line and take it out of the page?
Yeah.
I just think the verses were all 4 lines long. so
I
I'm
thought so,
confused.
yeah.
Okay, write down that, and then I think we should do the dedication because people may have to go. Can you turn this page? Yeah.
Sure.
Can you turn that?
Mhm.
Okay, let's do meditation together. Dedicate the virtue section that we have created to continue to utilize for the future from today on until we get innovating. Okay. In the land encircled by snow mountain, you are the source of all happiness and good. All power of Chenrezig live together. Please remain until samsara end. Just as the brave Manjushri and some of the brother too, realizing as they are, also I dedicate. Do you get it?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, we just read together.
Okay.
Read together.
Okay.
Read together. Okay. Just as the brave Manjushri and some of the brother too, realizing as they are.
Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example.
I dedicate all these fruits of virtue with dedication, praise as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in 3 times, so that I may perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. And then she jumped down there. By the spring Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase forevermore. As long as spirit remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. I dedicate the merits that gathered toward the realization of the deep and the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 tones, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives through the force of this merit never separate from the wheels of Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. May all sentient beings again and again make offerings to all Buddhas, and may they constantly be joyful with the inconceivable bliss of the Buddhas. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, and have a good day. And then make a laugh. Everybody need a pen to write the last.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to remind you that we're at this is the roots, or even before the roots, at the Forest of Wisdom. And we have more plans for more buildings as time goes on. We are only supported by donations. So if you want to help us, so many people have already gave so many generous donations, and we deeply appreciate that. And you can I feel that we're doing this, donate online, or we do have a donation box here. We have some interesting things, items you can use in your own Dharma practice that you can leave a donation for. I guess for now you could put in and take, like, there's different things. You can see them in the front of the hallway. And I'm just so grateful you're all here and that you're getting to learn the Dharma from a highly established, wonderful teacher. Thank you so much. Also, there's water, tea, and snacks, and you're welcome to that, or before and after the class. Okay.
Yes, yes, please enjoy.